the meeting to order. I'd like to move up the election of officers, item G1. Here, a motion to fill the position of chair.
Move that James Foote be nominated for another term as chair.
Second.
Okay, a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion here to fill the secretary position. Phil Cordero,
Second.
motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I move that Kevin Ray be reappointed as vice
I
chair.
don't know if did we finish the?
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye.
Aye, okay. Yeah, aye, okay, so motion carried. Your motion to fill the position of vice chair.
I move that Kevin Ray be reappointed as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, and any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, that's good. All right, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the September 14th, 2022 meeting?
So move.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have our communication report, the monthly operating report for September 2022.
So I'll go through it. Any questions, just let me know. So average flow was 2.6. Removal efficiencies for BOD was 98.9%, 98.8 for suspended solids. We were 64 pounds under the nitrogen permit. The average FOS was 2.14 and average E. coli was 2.3, so non-detect. This is the last month, October, for FOS. So next month we'll have the UVs off for that. For UV, I'm sorry. Any questions on that?
Just one general question.
Yep.
Over the years, we've done a number of pipelining.
Yep.
in terms of- Has it been a noticeable difference on the flows?
So, I mean, it's hard to tell because
It varies by
it's-
season.
yeah, and we had such a dry season this year that I think we actually probably hit the rock bottom for flow here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen it 2.1 standard. But I do know like some of the big ones we did, and especially the Patrick floods and manhole, we were probably getting, from our calculations, probably 15,000, 20,000 some days. So just from the pumps on that, we've seen half an hour to 45 minutes difference, which is pretty big though.
Mhm.
So some of the lining projects, we definitely see differences in
And the lining projects we did back
years ago.
20 years ago now,
Yeah.
those took out about 50,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
Just out of the village. It was three or four lining projects. And it took out a substantial amount. So we were somewhere at like 150, 200,000 gallons per day that we reduced the flow back then. And that was just from the main line. We didn't do the laterals at that point. We didn't have capability to go up the lateral.
Mhm.
Now there's capability to go up, dig a hole and have a liner small enough that will fit those old clay tile pipes. Because in essence, when you line the main line, sealing that, put some water up the line.
Mhm.
So even with the old clay tile pipes, it still remove about 50,000 gallons per project.
As well as when it's, of course.
It is.
And your nitrogen removal there was making money.
Yeah, we've actually, I don't want to jinx us, but we've been under every month of the year. So, and that's no chemical, just using the fermentation tank. So it's working good. It's working really well. So unless we get really high flows or rains, I mean, we should be good.
We got the engineer report September 2022.
So West Farms Pump Station, just to summarize, we had some transducer issues, just blipping in and out. We went out there, we reset it, drew the pumps down because it thought the wet well was lower than it actually was. We ended up replacing the transducer on the 20th. It's been running normal since. When the transducer does go into backup mode, it goes to the ultrasonic, so it still runs normally, but we have the spares, so we put one in. Patrick Flood on September 21st, we noticed a smell of gas, so we called C&G. They found a leak on their side and a small leak at the Union on our side. So we fixed it. We had the portable generator out for that one night. Was turned on the next morning.
That's pretty unusual to have.
It was. I mean, it's first time in
Catastrophic.
8 years I've seen it. But it was very small, but it was faint when we went out there because we ran the generators for the monthly checks. So we were right where the incoming line was and we smelled it. Batterson Park, we put a new O-ring in and tightened the bolts in the valve chamber. It loosened up again since we did the initial repair when I had the pictures of us down there. So we're going to add link seal and a bracket from the wet well into the pump chamber or the valve chamber. They didn't have link seal, so that should tighten it up. It seems like when the pump's kicking on, it goes up about 18 feet and there's an elbow. So I think it's kind of torquing every time and just moving. So we're going to try to tighten that up. Harlan and Allstate, we got the plans. We're actually talking with Highway. We're going to try to pour the pads before the snow falls for the generators. So we're all set. Put the electrical conduit in and get that done. Pump station upgrades and collection systems. We jetted Beechwood, Candlewood, Crosswood, Gillette Way, Highwood, Knollwood Road, Pinewood, and Northwoods. We helped Highway in jetting storm drains on Meadow Road at the Y section, at the flats. We finished raising manholes on Church Street, Carrington, Hart, Tungus, and Hotchkiss. That was very beginning of September and August. We continued to camera and look for problem areas in the sewers and the storm drains. And we cambered Crocus Lane upstream and downstream of the flow meter vault, and that was for Avon. They had an increase of flow only at Crocus. NIC systems went out, verified everything was working. We cambered it both upstream and downstream and didn't find any obstructions. So
I've got a question. When we work with the public works to do the flushing of storm lines and stuff, is there any money transfer on that or is
No.
kind of?
They help us.
Like Highway helps with the treatment plan and things, we help them on things.
like the generator pads are helping us with, so if they need something, we
Yeah, it really is.
work it out.
But we don't keep track of.
Yeah,
Cross department funds.
Exactly, because it goes hand in hand so much, you know, we come down, we send guys to help them do things. And we help with the manhole raising from the highway.
Yeah. To help with mowing out front, so
Yeah.
it's kind of 50-50.
When you washes the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Teamwork.
100%,
Yes.
and I'll tell you, like, it's, it works well.
Yeah.
Like, there is no.
Competition or anything.
No, I don't
No.
think it's, and I think, you know, with the personnel and the personalities
They
that
know each
change.
other, yeah.
Yeah, where it's, I think years ago, we used to have some of the different personalities that would get into, you know.
Union stuff.
It worked well.
Would there potentially be a union issue or?
No, because they're all in the same union.
Same
Yeah.
union?
Yeah, just different location. But no, everybody, you know, works well together. It really. Mark could call Jim, you know, tomorrow morning and have 2 or 3 guys come.
Yeah.
We could call Mark, you know, he could call Mark and say, hey, I need to send the back truck and we'll have 2 guys go. It really is a smooth operation.
Yeah, it's like a weekly thing, so
Yeah.
it works. Repairs and maintenance, reset of screenings, auger fault and headworks. On September 6th, we reset a surge protector fault and replaced the ballast in UV bank 1. I'll touch on that in the next paragraph. All faults were cleared. The UV dose and UVT never dropped during the time because all the other banks were running. On September 14th, we exercised the effluent pumps, which are the big ones we use for the floods. 1 and 3 ran for 30 minutes. 2 we pulled and cleaned. There's just some algae built up, and we also ran that for 30 minutes. On September 15th, we cleaned the algae off final clarifier 2 and drained final clarifier 3. Final 1 was put online, so we rotate these every 6 months, give or take. We also had a power blip at the plant. That was one of the days it was pretty windy out. He had to reset the grit chambers, blowers, and the #1 transfer building compressor. Primary 4 is now offline and primary 2 is online with the new Borger pump. We'll probably leave 1 and 2 on all winter. 1 will stay on because that's the fermentation tank. We ordered new tires for the 150. We went over the report before. We were 64 pounds under permit. We had a potential contaminated E. coli test. The reason why I put this in was because up here, when we had the UV fault, everything was running during the time, and the samples the day before and after were both non-detect, meaning nothing. So I would say once in a while you get a test that the reagent is bad, or you sneeze in the lab, and if your finger's dirty, you'll hit it. So the UVs were never off. So I just wanted to include that in there as well. But everything was in the set points. We had complete disinfection and
So there's no connection between
the fault.
the fault.
No, so basically, without going into a huge explanation, the UVs will handle 18 million combined. Each side will run about 9 million. So during this time, we were doing 2.8 and 3 rows run. So it's basically, I don't want to say impossible, but impossible. So it was pretty much a test in the lab. That was either reagent or his finger hit it or something like that. So that was all. And then we checked everything the day before and after, and there was no issues. And all the graphs we have for it were good.
And you don't have to report that or anything.
We told the state, but in the thing we told them, it was lab. So we try to be 100% with everything.
They'll probably catch up to that, probably August.
Avon flow meters calibrated. That's it, other than plans, reviews, and approvals. Go to that.
So you want to talk about the plan review and approval or not?
I'm sorry,
The plan,
for Plainville.
no, the plan.
Plans and
Plan.
approvals.
Oh,
I just
sure.
got them up here.
The 80 South Road, that one in. This is the property next to the East Farms Fire Station. It is, Jeff Zager and his daughter. It's separate from Metro. It is a different subsidiary of Metro. The 114 Red Oak Hill. This is an extension of Carriers are doing a subdivision. I believe it's Sylvania Noel Carrier coming off of Coppermine. It basically runs parallel to the parking lot at New Britain Avenue for the trail, rails and trails. The 114 is the lot behind it on Red Oak Hill. They've been talking back and forth, and they're going to combine the 114 lot with this Carriers lot and make it one big subdivision. And that's going back before wetlands because of where the storm drain, they have to do a discharge onto the town, into the town right away. We have a strip of property. 8120, this is from lot 8120, 22. This is across from the storage building on the Nicole Highway, and just a small project. Nothing. The sanitary sewage going back as it relates to 80 South Road. We have plenty of capacity to handle that. The 114, that's three lots there, one existing on septic with 2 lots, plus the other 3 lots, 4 lots, so a total of 7 lots. Not a problem for the sewer. And the 242 cold that would tie into the Britain Avenue. So just sort of a bathroom. Pretty in an office.
I was curious there at the country club, I saw that there were some leaks and some repairs done, I guess. Whose pipes were leaking, you know?
Country clubs.
It was a country club?
Yeah.
And it was showing up in the middle of the highway there? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm okay with it.
And then I was curious on Route 6 there, I know there was some kind of a water line project there.
It's still going on.
Okay, so what's that, sir?
Connecticut Water.
Yeah.
It's replacing an existing, they're putting in a 12-inch, 8-inch line. No, sorry, that's a 12-inch line. They're replacing an existing 8-inch cast iron all the way from the side of, I digress, sorry, CVS on Route 10.
Yep.
All the way up to New Britain Avenue. And that'll replace that just to make it, provide more flow, more flow and fire protection.
We're working on it all summer.
He's slow.
They're almost at CVS now. I drove down by there today and spitting distance of there.
Yeah, it is. We don't know how he makes money. I just got told the other day, he has a leak in that section from the Britain Avenue down, yeah. Remember? And he's methodical, but.
So we're saying he starts late and finishes early,
Right.
and now,
And he just, we don't get it, he is very, but very meticulous.
Yeah.
But just heard the other day, he's got a leak that they can't find. So we gotta figure out where that is, so it is just amazing, he is, they're steady. And they hit one snag, which wasn't their fault, they went to tie in the Britain Avenue line, that comes across toward, at that point, northbound, coming off, from the meadows. But that 8-inch line that comes across Route 6, they not only put it into a concrete pipe for a liner, they poured concrete around, they infilled the whole pipe. So when they cut the concrete storm drain, they put it like a sleeve, and they slipped. It had to be back with the White Oak job back in 1992. They sleeved the water main through the concrete storm drain and then filled it with concrete. So when they cut the storm drain, they're like, how thick is this pipe? And they kept cutting and cutting. They're like, we can't find the pipe. And of course, it ended up being like, it would be my luck too. If this is the pipe, they started cutting from this side, and when they ran it was like a 24-inch pipe. They ran the 8-inch water main through it. It was on this side of the pipe.
Ugh.
So this whole, for the most part, it had 3 inches of concrete on one side and 12 inches on the other, and they're cutting and cutting. He's like, we can't figure it out. So they wasted a couple days on that.
so that was just to protect the water line that.
So they put it in, going back and I looked through the plans, it looks like they sleeved it as just a future to get it, the water company as part of the project ran the, sleeved it through so they have connection on each end, but wouldn't have to dig up Route 6 again. Well, now that they're coming and tying and running a whole new line, they gotta tie into that line. So they go to tie in, it was like, so that was a problem, but it wasn't a contractor's fault, but it's amazing.
Work before action.
Exactly.
Okay, and then we got the engineer listing of property for sewer permits issued September.
Yep, so we just had Bridgehampton Crossing fee collected with the building permit. That was for 5955, same thing, fee collected with the building permit. And Thatcher Terrace, number 19, same as well.
Now, I can't say I remember anything to do with the old Marriott thing. Have they taken out a permit yet, or where are they?
The Marriott doesn't need a permit, they're already connected.
Okay, so for the housing units and stuff.
They haven't gotten it, they're still working through their approvals. They're approved, but now it's the details to get through a building permit itself. Because they've been trying to, it's a design building code issues where you've got to have a separate service for each apartment, electrical service, and they're like, oh, we want to put it right when you walk in the door at eye level. And no, like, you can't do that because of safety. So there are some issues that they're running through. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It'll get worked out, but it's just that's what the issue is, going through these final details to actually issue a building permit issuance.
So do we expect on any of these projects any large
Well, not too big. Down here, the midpoint will be a big one. And the new building over on Battersea Park will be a pretty decent one. But nothing, not like they'll hit a home run. Yeah, it'll be good. They'll pay their fair share, but it won't. It's not that, overwhelmed.
see. Any unfinished business? Okay, none. Your motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Aye.
We've been seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you very much.